Right. Welcome, everyone. Actually, not there a beautiful evening compared to today and yesterday. So on the agenda, so we have Stephanie Gumling from EAC, our chairperson for an annual update. Welcome, Stephanie.
Nice. All right, they asked me if I had a PowerPoint presentation, and I do not. So, here you go. Well, actually, I'll just start off with our most recent. We just had the Green Up Day down at Acorn Park, last weekend or 2 weekends ago. And it went incredible. We had 17 or 18 volunteers. Everybody showed up in the rain and was just happy to be there. We got 100 plants in the ground in about an hour and a half. Actually, if you go to the end of Locust and you turn right instead of left, like you're going to the entrance of Acorn Park, you turn right, you can see them all the green tree tubes in there. It looks pretty cool. Right along Little Creek. So that was our one volunteer event. And then the second one is the roadside litter cleanup. This will be our third annual roadside litter cleanup. They seem to be a hit. Everybody enjoys doing them, and every year we kind of have a compounding volunteer group. So this year we'll be on Wexford Run Road on April 27th. If anybody wants to come, we'll be there. So those are the two volunteer events that I'm trying to do every year. And yeah, I think as everyone knows, some of the things that the EACs hit on in our meetings and some of our little projects, I'll just go down the list here. We spent a bunch of time on tree ordinance reviews, and eventually, now Letty and I are working with the land use committee to pursue potential tree protection ordinance for the borough. We kind of started and springboarded off of what was the bicentennial trees. There was a list of bicentennial trees in Franklin Park. It seemed like Jim Wattenpool had done most of the nominations for that was published for Allegheny County. So we kind of started off that list to see how many of those trees still existed in the borough. And then we kind of springboarded off that a remarkable trees kind of inventory program to basically try and get an inventory of what's out there in the borough. People can submit nominations. We're thinking that'll just be a rolling nomination kind of thing, so that every year we can have a winner. And this year, actually, it hasn't been announced yet, but the winner is an ash tree right down the road here, and it's like one of the only ones left in Western Pennsylvania. Yeah, and it's actually the owners, they just care for it incredibly, and they have Davy Tree come out and treat it and care for it. And I know that the Western PA Conservancy is also kind of keeping their eye on it as well, because everybody's kind of wondering, how is it still here? Why is it still here? Is there, some signs to learn from it? So anyways, that was pretty cool that we now have that information, and it makes us such a great borough. All right, as everyone knows, landscape plans are kind of part of our advisory duty. So we don't get many of those anymore. I guess before I started years ago, there was a lot of landscape plans that we reviewed. This year, I think so far all we had was the Wet Go and Acorn Park, which we need to get back to you for.
Do you know why you guys don't have many to review now? Is it something
Let's yeah, I believe. Yeah.
There you
go. Recently, one of our EAC members wanted to pursue looking at power consumption and ways that residents can reduce their power consumption, like through energy efficiencies at home and stuff. So that's a new thing that we're kind of starting on, and hoping we can get something out in the newsletter and on our webpage. The newsletter and the webpage are things that anything we do, really, we're trying to also make some sort of an educational tool. So check out our webpage. There's lots of good info on the events we do, the news, kind of any news, and then resources for residents on the webpage. And, I don't know if everybody saw the cover of the newsletter, this past newsletter, that was the community garden, which I thought was a really, really cool cover photo for the newsletter. Let's see, what else? Waste management, we're trying to get another tour of their recycling facility, which is supposed to be like a state-of-the-art recycling facility that they're building on Neville Island to replace the old one. So Paul's leading that, and hopefully we can get one when it opens in the fall, or any residents that are interested. We did one a few years ago of the old facility as well, and I think people enjoyed that. Acorn Park, tree mitigation, I know that'll be, something we'll be tasked with, is, for every tree that's gonna get cut down, 3 will be replaced, so, in talking with Reed, the EAC will be responsible for selecting what trees and where they go, so, we have that on our radar. And just a couple little things, the comprehensive plan, we were following that, and talked about that at a lot of meetings, written some letters of support for like Allegheny Land Trust for some grants they were applying to, spotted lanternfly education, and helped provide some advice for the borough tree replacement up here in the front of the borough building. So I think you guys planted like 4 or 5 red bud, or 4 or 5 service berries and a red bud or something like that. There you go. Got it all
That's all you're doing.
out. In a year's time.
Part of it, definitely say the recycling facility, the mayor and I went out, I think it was like 2 years ago. No, you're saying. Yeah, it's pretty cool tour. They have a government relations person, I don't know if that's who you guys are looking up with, but, you know, they were telling us about the whole glass separation, like why do we have a glass bin, and some municipalities have a service, whatever the contract is that allows it. So they do have the ability to separate glass, but it's pretty cool facility, and, you know, walk through the operations and whatnot, so glad to hear that they're building new one.
Yeah.
Any questions? Thoughts?
Anything we can do for you guys?
Good, no.
Okay.
We'll work on our meeting, and then we'll work on the tree, the canopy. Going.
Great.
And the 27th is what you said for the pickup day, litter.
Yes.
All right, we should
10 a.m.
blast it, I guess.
We need to sign up for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you show up, it's without RSVPing, it's fine, but if you RSVP, I'll be shooting an email to everybody that RSVPs with kind of what to bring, and
Did you request any traffic control from the fire department?
from the police department, I believe, so. Yeah.
It's gonna be at the end of Wexford, run near 910, right?
Yeah, I can't think of if there's a housing plan,
Right, yeah.
From
Gray
Valley Brook to Gray Oaks.
Yeah, Gray Oaks or,
And
yeah, and I can't think of the street name.
Graves one that has the townhouses at the bottom.
Yes.
Yes. That's for them.
Yes, the one that Mel Looper, Nature
Yeah,
Preserve
yeah, that's
is
right.
up against. Yeah, we're gonna meet right there,
What time stuff?
10 a.m. And, the state rep also is RSVP to be there as well. He was there last year.
If we have our orange vest for him.
Yeah, if you still have your orange vest, bring it, but otherwise I have gloves,
That's all
vests,
nice.
bags,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
You could probably park in there, if you went in there and made the right turn, that's the shorter of the
Yep.
two. And there's not, I think there's quite a large cul-de-sac at the end there.
Yeah, that's why they chose that spot to meet.
Yeah, that'd be a good place, so rather than Westford Run itself can be pretty busy coming in, so.
Yeah.
Just from the junction to 910, but that will cul-de-sac, you know, I don't think the neighbors will care.
That's good, because that's where we're meeting. That's where I said that to meet. I can't remember the name of that road. But there, yeah, you're right, Tom, there is like a cul-de-sac, and there's even a little almost like where they were gonna put a driveway.
Yeah,
like a little, yeah.
so it's a lot of space at that end, there's fewer homes at that end too, so.
Yeah, yeah. It's like East Huntington Court, you're north and south, yeah. So,
All right,
all right.
sounds good. Well, thank you, and,
Thank you.
look forward to seeing you.
Great job.
Yeah, thanks again. Okay, moving on to old business. So first item, Bill Charter update.
Yes, I called, Nick again, left a message for him again, followed up with an email. He had, when I first reached out and we started talking, he did indicate he was retiring at the end of the year and was bringing in Lisa Michelle, an attorney who does a lot of work for the county sheriff's department, but is, I guess, stepping up in the election division as an assistant county solicitor. So she was on the email as well. So I passed along a draft copy of the ordinance, just mentioned I hadn't been able to reach him, so I had a couple questions about it, posed those to him, and then asked really about the number of signatures. Is it really 200, which seems
Yeah.
like a lot? And what are the write-in provisions? Do 200 write-ins, or can you just get one? So I am waiting to hear back from that, and I asked him email or a phone call that we could schedule would be the way to go. So just let them know we're still aiming for introduction in June with potential enactment in July. We'll see.
And then, I think there's a question, can volunteers from one of our committees be allowed to do this, like if they're on the?
Oh, yeah, we asked Harley about that. So can we go to their committee, people that are already volunteering and say, hey, will you serve on this?
Yeah.
Like if they're on
advisory
planning
committee?
commission or something?
I mean, I did not see,
Mhm.
a direct, restriction, let them book in the car, so I could go get it or
Yeah.
so. Nothing jumped out in terms of other restrictions, but it's certainly something we could ask.
And certainly not
Well-
council persons who would.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really,
Hmm.
there's not, maybe buried in there somewhere, but there's not like this line, section that says, elected officials forbidden from being part of it. You could see it is a bit of a conflict, and there's nothing in the borough code the other way, or some council member, here's a restriction. But I think we'll continue to look into that.
Great, and we'll get a legal opinion from.
And probably, doubled up by the
Yeah.
county solicitor
Yeah.
to deal with this in terms of ballots.
Yeah,
Every
so
way.
when you talk, if you talk to Alan or
Yep.
Michelle's the.
Michelle.
Yeah, pose those questions. Can we go to people who are already volunteering on
Yep.
our committees and council people, potentially run and serve on them? That'd be great.
I still can't believe it's 200 signatures, but a lot.
It seems like.
You're there, 2% of the number of people that voted in the last governor's race, which it doesn't say like just in the borough,
I know.
statewide. What?
But there were tiny little townships that pulled this
Yeah.
off. There's no way that they collected
200.
200 signatures. When there's only 4,000 population, they did not collect
I
2,000.
think there's a zero.
Yeah.
Type of.
Yeah, right.
Something's wrong, so we need to fix
Even
it.
20 would be.
More than you, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
it-
councils. Okay.
Ten will do
Four
you.
districts.
All right.
Crazy.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good. You can go get a response. Like now and then, it might be a little busy, the primary.
Yeah. okay.
Yeah, Lisa's, I've worked with Lisa before, she usually does it.
John Russell's.
Okay, sounds good. All right,
Everyone remembers John.
MFPAA update. Short for the ambulance authority. I go first, you want me to go? Okay, and then you can like weigh in and then you.
However you want to do it.
All right, so, since we last met, I believe the next meeting, Christel, reached myself, met with them at the borough building. Kind of went over, kind of gave us an account of what's happening down there or over there. In terms of municipalities, and the one-time payments, so for example, Pine, correct me if I'm wrong, whatever it is, like, they're like, we're paying, but it's one-time thing. No real commitments as far as getting on the board. Now, they did say, I mean, his advocate were, they're in a very strong financial position this time around versus like when he got there. That's great. However, it still does not excuse the payment of our other municipalities. So, we kind of did say, look, at some point, we're not gonna be able to like solely fund you, so what can we do to like do a couple of things, get the other municipalities paid, but otherwise, one way we can look at it is whatever Brickland Park is putting in, that should be a rebate to our citizens of the borough. As in like if there's just a bill, like kind of like we are offsetting them, that way we're not offsetting all 5 municipalities.
It's not a bad idea.
Another way to look at it is, that I was asking is, look, then why don't you raise your rates to the market retail price so that, we're not relying on this whole funding mechanism, which is not really worked out anyways. I did ask, like, is the subscription, is it a profit or a loss? And you did say it's a profit for, I kind of see this, the subscription that you get in the mail, that solicitation is more of a supplemental insurance, kind of like, I don't know, Medicare supplemental, whatever, so if they were to actually charge appropriate market rates, maybe we wouldn't have a need for municipalities to keep it flooding. So that's where our discussion went. Anything? Okay, cool.
I finally talked to Jason Silver today. It wasn't a super long conversation, but we kind of got up to speed. He thinks, as we've talked about in the past, that there's a major disconnect between the municipalities, councils, and he thinks the big stumbling block still is contribution and settling on a formula, and he thinks if we do that, we can get the other municipalities on. His suggestion was that you, me, and Reed meet with him, his manager, and another member of their council, get on the same page, and he thinks we can grab the other municipalities. He said Bradford Woods, he's talked to, he thinks they're on the cusp of, excuse me, coming on board if they know what it's going to be. I said, well, Jason, did you have any ideas? Have you talked about what kind of funding structure you're looking at? I said, we've thrown around something similar to the line. He said he thinks that would be a great formula. Several municipalities already pay into the library. It's based on both population and usage. And he thinks that the two of us, the two main municipalities can get on board. The others don't even really seem to care that much about board representation. It's more they can have. So I said that I'd bring it to council tonight and see what y'all thought. We can set up a meeting. The two of us get on the same page. Hopefully that moves things forward.
I see no objection.
I think that any kind of funding system like what the library is doing, which is already non-objectionable, except for the one municipality that didn't approve the budget last time around. But I think that would be a really good move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's a good idea, Luke.
I mean, I don't think it can hurt, and
Let's try it.
I agree. Okay.
He might be at A1.
I'm sure he will.
So-
I'm not gonna be there, but
You're not, okay, all right. Okay, we'll find some time.
One of the thoughts I
Brian Mansell here.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, yeah. Sorry, guys.
a couple of months ago, it was 6 months ago, now my internal calendar's not always on schedule, but I read that article about Ross Township. And
Yeah.
their ambulance now assesses $10 per, I believe it's per household fee. And I don't know how well that's working, but it's a required, again, I'm pretty sure it was per household and not per individual resident. And they just assess that right with the local property tax, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay, not that.
Yeah, so I had asked about that last year at A1. The chief, that authority, so Thursday night I got there after the session, I just kind of like saw some random people, I was like, oh, then they're sitting here, so it turns out that was the chief of that authority. And then there's someone on their township supervisor council for Ross, and they kind of explained this to me. So I didn't realize that they were going to the household route. That sounds like that's the next phase of what they were doing, but one thing that they mentioned is they acknowledged that it wasn't going so well, and part of the reason was just the messaging. So there are people in those municipalities that are confused on, is this a required fee, is this an optional fee, is this a special fee? Like, some people thought it was like a scam, just the whole messaging of it and the rollout was their problem. Doesn't mean it can't work,
And there's, Mike, did you say there's not really any mechanism to collect it either?
I mean, if you're an authority, you have sort of the ability to levy rates and charges and typical, on the utility sides. But yeah, then it becomes a question of if it's on your tax, it's not really, a property tax. You can't levy taxes because they're an authority, and yeah, then it can be a question of somebody doesn't pay. What are you doing? Are you doing a municipal claim against them? $10, it's gonna cost more to try and get that, so.
Oh, the other thing Christelle mentioned is, when I did bring up, bring your rates up to the market price so that you're not worried about like, bring the rate up to like where you don't have subsidy, and let's just see what what occurs, right? And then build the admin fee. He did mention that medical bills and debts are excluded from credit reports. I think you mentioned that.
Yes.
So in terms of, collectability.
Very low incentive for somebody.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know the collection, the uncollectible debt rate is right now, but,
Did you happen to say what that would look like, what that number should look like if they did that?
what would the cost be if they didn't even know? I think right now they're trying to figure out the whole IOP, and then, which, I do agree they should come up with those figures.
The issue is not that we are, as a borough, having trouble coming up with paying our fair share, right?
Right. That's
So-
correct.
So really putting a fee on residents, maybe something down the road, but for now, that's probably not something we need to do. We're just trying to encourage the other municipalities to pay their fair share. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, this sounds like a PR issue to me.
Yep.
Which would be pretty easy for us to put some pressure on them. It might be uncomfortable for us as elected officials. But I think if these other channels do not work rather, I think there's a PR campaign to be had here to communicate that these residents, not necessarily our residents, but residents of the other borough municipalities are getting the service, and their elected officials are not paying their fair share.
Yeah, I think they've gotten pretty light coverage.
So,
Yeah.
Unfair coverage in the North Journal. When they do these articles, they don't dig too deep. They don't point that out, but I agree that. And also, I don't know what their official status is.
Yeah.
As terms of these association members, and they don't have board members.
Right. But I mean, there's service, that's the one, Westview Water or other ones that, aren't an incorporating entity, don't have the board control, but get the services. And I think to the question is, what is the fair share? Because nobody's been able to
Yeah,
determine that.
and that makes sense to figure those things out
Right.
first, but failing those things, I think a little public
Mhm.
attention to this and pressure could solve it pretty easily.
Yeah, we bringing up the whole like charging retail price, like the actual price of this, like forget the subsidies that like, we are paying as a borough in Kansas, whether in kind or whatever. Just,
No.
yeah, well, I
They
mean,
mow?
They mow the
Oh.
selling gas at market rates.
but it's more than the other three municipalities, right? So absent all that, even if they should come up with like all the costs, right? So, and just lay it
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
Um,
And I would, if I were Pine or Bradford, I would want that information before I committed to paying, absolutely.
and that
I
is part of
understand
it. That's part of like why Pine is withholding at the moment. They want the whole idle fee, what is somebody not sitting around, but like not running after like or getting it done.
Right, but
Um,
all the other affected as well.
yeah, so there's something Chris had mentioned. Sorry, good.
Pine hasn't paid. I mean, they made a big announcement.
They are willing to pay
the
once,
budget.
they will pay once
That's
they
what I
get that
thought.
information.
I thought it was 55 per household for Ross.
Whoa.
I apologize.
The
I
fee,
thought it was higher.
I thought it was like,
It's similar to
Yeah.
what
Which is less than what the subscription fee was for the people who used to pay voluntarily.
because now it's spread out across.
Exactly.
It's just like an insurance pool, the larger you,
it's
the
a
pool,
supplemental
the-
insurance.
yeah, you spread it out.
I think the subscription on, last year, I think it was $90 for the thing. I believe.
It's right around there.
Um. Yeah, also regional, I went to their accreditation thing. That was good. WD consultants that were there. Learned a lot of positive things. So it looks like, they're very positive that they'll get accredited. It's only 185 in the country, so they'll be 185th or so. Something like 3,000 of these in the country, authorities or more.
That's pretty good.
So from a PR perspective, it's, for a borough, it is a value added, and it should be for the other ones as well, so, one thing, on the way out, Rich and I were talking a little bit, but our contribution, I believe it's May that we contribute. I think until this is ironed out, we should probably not do the full amount in May. There's no harm in spreading it and making partial payments. I think I did tell Chris that, in terms of like withholding funding and or whatnot.
How do we react?
He understood, like, what this is strictly business. I mean, he understands that like Franklin Park always pays, so I don't think they're concerned about that.
What do we commit to this time?
70,
70, something, 70 and change.
Are you thinking maybe half or so?
my thought was to go third, the fourth and third, and then kind of see how this pans out over the summer. I mean, we can always like put in the rest as it goes along, but for their budget, I don't think like 40K is gonna work.
No, they're okay right now. The whole idea of the contributions is to keep them,
Yeah.
Keep them
That
there.
and
approach.
all things are shaped in the future, but they'll get through this year, even if none of the municipalities contribute. But they would lose some of it next year.
Yeah, if anything, we can maybe use this to like pressure the other municipalities to pay up and say, we can't continue supporting this on our own. On the table.
How did your idea of eliminating the satellite, did that get explored?
I did mention it to Chris
Yeah.
when the three of us met.
Yeah.
I mean, he did not seem to object.
Uh-huh.
What he did say was Pine is claiming that they are supporting that somehow. Although they are paying for
For
electricity.
electricity, right?
Yeah,
But it's part of the fire station.
it's in the base, it's also in the basement of the fire station.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, he
Mm,
didn't seem to really object.
well,
So
so maybe you need to, in parallel, do that as well as your other.
that's a part of the first payment,
Yeah.
shift staff from there.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Is that gonna affect service though? I mean, should that really be our first step? Do you want them to be able to say, well, Franklin Park made us close the satellite office and someone had an emergency and their response time was
That
longer?
is true, so
Yeah.
it will have service.
See if this.
Yeah.
Next round meetings.
Well,
National Buchanan on votes, it's 5-2 on the board, so
Right.
we can't do anything. Buchanan
Okay.
also agreed.
I mean, impeding service is a way of, I mean, nobody wants to impede service, but then again, like, this is not free, so
I think we have other more effective pressure points first.
That's-
before we go to that.
that's fine. Yeah, we can try everything else first, I'm fine with that, but we did bring it up just
Yeah.
as a, hey, just, if this is on the
Yeah, if it
plate.
comes to that, it
Yeah.
comes to that.
I mean, all options are on the table right now, but, yeah, so that could impede, that will impede service, and actually that idea did not originate from us, it originated from a Kansas member, so, they will probably be on board with this.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Pay up
I
or,
would imagine that the board members can say. It could bring on a motion to not serve this community, right? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, depending on whatever their arrangement is, I mean, there's gotta be some out, some notice requirement, or it could have just been this handshake agreement.
For sure,
That's
that's
what
what
it
it's like, because contractually,
Yeah.
they're not obligated to pay a dime.
And
And they can rewrite for
Covered
years.
from it,
They're not named in the name of the, I don't know.
and I don't know if there's like a provision, sort of that you have to have coverage. You know,
municipalities have to have coverage.
that's what I'm just asking, I
Yeah.
don't.
Municipalities have to get covered,
So that-
required.
that could be.
But that doesn't mean MFPA. has to
Right,
provide
they're
that.
not required. to
Find it somewhere else.
This may not be contract, you might be right, it might be a handshake agreement, because one thing Chris had mentioned is that they have no interest in being board members. Or, buying in, get on the board or whatnot. The authority can issue a contract, like an annual contract or something, saying, that's fine, these are the terms. So,
That's
that
it.
might be what it is. Yeah.
That would not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
It hovers around what McCandless was proposing, which is they'll take over all the capital assets and everything and just bill people for their use.
I don't think they,
Yeah.
are we sure that they proposed that? Because when I talked to Singer, he did not see that.
That's what I got from the
That-
last time we.
Yeah, I think Chris is a little skeptical of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
That never happened.
Well, I don't think they want that.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it was kind of discussed amongst the
Maybe the
managers
other
and McCann
stuff,
seemed
yeah.
like the best place to do it.
okay, but
Not
that,
the other,
I don't think
Yeah,
they're
I-
looking for
all right.
more,
fair.
their own work.
But I wouldn't mind having a contractual agreement with folks that this is how much they have to pay for the services, and these are the services they're gonna get for the year.
Yeah, just want to make sure like the contract is equitable in terms of, again, we're not supposed to start it.
But as long as the contribution's based on like the library stuff contribution.
Yeah.
Anybody could object.
No.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's where that stands. So let's get idea. I'll try to meet with them again.
Yeah.
Let us know. If we see him this weekend, we can say something else. Okay. Any questions or? All right, good stuff. Or not really.
No, it could be worse.
Yeah,
That's couple
it could be
reports, like
worse.
this place is on fire.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Okay, on to new business. So reviewing the April 17th agenda.
All right, you got it at your places. Yes, once again, even though a conditional use has no specific requirements, met all the general requirements. The planning commission, another municipality tabled us, so I have to go back and will not be here on April 17th, but Harley is lined up. You don't have any conditional use or public hearings otherwise scheduled. And in terms of the motions, the ones to bring to your attention are there's a minor subdivision that Sean and Tim can address. We don't look at those. Deerfield Estates, did get a positive recommendation after a short meeting, just to do a rephasing. They're still doing phase 2, but they're splitting it up into 2A and 2B. So it was approved without major comments.
Is that so they can get some of the security back at this point?
No, they haven't. It was so they didn't have to post the entire security for part 2. They can kind of split it in half and post half of the new security too. But yeah, they wanted to do it without some type of action or just on it, and we made it go through the process at least. Get it in place, but other than that, there's no changes in terms of number of lots, configuration, anything else. They just cut a line and said this is 2A, 2B. We'll do them separately through separate development agreements and separate bonding. We have been working with Black Oak Investments, motion 6. Sean is to be doing the inspection around the 5th, just in terms of timing. Their 2 years were coming up. They've indicated if you just drove by it, I mean, it's coming along. They didn't think they would need the entire time. And they were one of the newer developments after the change to the MPC with respect to reducing the contingency and doing new construction cost estimates. But we told them, look, if you keep your original contingency in place, we're not going to make you submit a new construction cost estimate. We won't raise you the 10% that we do for other ones because they anticipate they'll be done in June or July. Pretty close. So Sean will be doing a letter to that effect, hopefully, because they also wanted a reduction. So we'll get that lined up in motion 6. Motion 7 will be the addendum with some of those details filled in as well to stretch them out. Say maintenance period. I gotta talk to Catherine about that change. It's not maintenance period, that's completion period. We want to talk about MS4 right now, or wait a little bit? In terms of that one. ADA, we talked about before, and it was 50 employees. We'll name Reed as the coordinator, put that on the webpage, mention that in legal ads going forward, and then we are required to have a grievance procedure if somebody does have an issue with attending a public event. And that really, that's not so much just other accessibility type issues, but for a borough public meeting, to work, and we set it up so it's, work primarily with Donna first and foremost, and an appeal to Reach as the coordinator. There were some examples that had to appeal to, the elected officials, and we don't need to get into that. So we followed that way. We got our scholarship recipients. We'll be reading the names. Got the usual names. And
Yes,
that-
that's the plan.
Yeah.
Sponsors are due from the committee on Monday.
We're good 13, so we're good.
Um,
Lucky number.
we'll let you know once we figure out how they shake out. We've got more this year than we usually have. So normally we award 10 to 12. And if there's some people close and then drop off, we might have one or two higher. We kind of play that by ear.
So you boosted the scholarship to 1,500.
Yes.
And then we've got the Brooklyn Library payment and the SHACOG bid openings. I have what we discussed, MS4, another one we might be adding as well.
I have a question on part of our packet, included about 70 some pages on IT and cybersecurity and everything. And everything that was in there was dated as if it's going to be occurring on the 17th, which is our next voting meeting.
It's an exec session,
Okay.
cybersecurity exec session.
I realize, but is it going to be voted on?
That's going to be discussed. in
Okay.
exec session.
I didn't see it on this agenda.
Right.
And I gotta be really honest, I did briefly read most of it, but to really study it and cross-reference it,
That's why
there's a volume of material there that
we assume that as well.
we would probably, I know it's executive session, but I think a presentation to council just to walk through some of this stuff and why are we doing it and what's it,
Sure.
I think would be in order, I think it's 72 pages. or something.
Yeah, exec session will discuss how you want to move forward.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Any questions? Okay, if not, report from staff, borough engineer and solicitor. Max, want to go first?
Items for executive session, don't believe anything else. We already talked about home rule charter. That was an update on the report. We already talked about regular meeting.
And then the tree ordinance.
Yeah,
You
we
guys are working on
gotta get Tim and Max and I need to meet. Is that something that would be, Sunshine Act type of work
Not
that's investigated?
less than a quorum for
Okay,
even a
Alright.
committee.
so
One
can we
member.
grab, maybe we can grab one of the slots, the 6 to 7 slots for those other committee meetings, something like that, before a work session. I mean, how do you wanna do the get together?
Okay, during the day, otherwise?
Yeah, three of you guys decide.
Yeah.
I really
Makes more
don't care.
flexible
Yeah, you can meet
anytime.
via Zoom or Teams during the day if you wanted to.
Okay,
Brian, I met the manager for Pine
yeah,
at one of the newly elected officials courses, and he said probably 4 times, let's have a meeting, let's have a meeting.
okay,
So if this is something we want to, I know he had exchanged some emails with Stephanie,
yeah.
but if that's something you want to loop him in on, probably via Zoom, I guess, just during the day. Are we at that point?
I don't think, I think this was
Are we past that point?
well, it was kind of I think we wanted to see like what their experience was, and if we got that answer, this is what their experience was and how old it was and all that. And
Yeah.
I think the deal we needed to come up with was, the extent of the description of the trees and the shrubs and the bushes that we
Yeah.
wanted to put in there, which I think we pushed down to the EAC to give us a list on that. But then I think that we were supposed to be meeting on some of the possible revisions to the working copy of the tree canopy ordinance, stuff that we thought would work for the borough, or would not. I think is where we were. Does that sound like what we talked about? I'm making certain that I understand. Yeah. And that being the case, then I'll circulate some times to meet for Tim and Max and I on, Microsoft Teams or whatever, and we'll see if we can get something together.
Okay, so you don't wanna, there's no, need to reach out to the Pine.
No, I think we're past that, like, like Laura was saying, I think we wanted to hear like what their experience was. We
Okay.
found out what their experience was. They
Stephanie
gave us
told
some plans.
All
We
right.
got the plans. you know,
Okay.
so- Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Max, anything else?
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Finance.
Hot seat stuff.
Well, I'm in my third week now. And so we had some pension deadlines, the end of March. The Attorney General had a few items that I had to upload to meet those deadlines. Spent a lot of time getting access to various portals, vendor, banking, which reminds me, I have some, we to get new signature cards. So you guys who are signers, maybe we can get that done today. And really just getting my name onto some things where, and taking my predecessor's names off as things. And, you know, in between things, really trying to get a familiarity with the systems and kind of pick up the month end and the recs and the financial reporting where they left off so that we can have some numbers for the council meeting. But
Any issues on the audit? I know they call just to check in as they do yearly.
there's just a couple outstanding items that we've heard from this week.
There are no findings.
Yeah, it's just outstanding.
And, you were on the call yesterday with Penvest. You were-
Yes.
Yeah, so, that was Penvest. For the MS4 funding arrangement, so. We could talk about it later. I can bring up, you know. But, yeah, just, I don't know if you got anything out of that, or there's some next steps, right, so.
Yeah, and we actually, we can discuss it more in our MS4.
Yeah,
There's some things that we discovered that are changing the timeline a little bit.
yeah, that's great. Okay,
And signature cards, if you want to give them to me, I'll make sure I get everybody.
Okay.
Needs to sign them.
I signed them, with my name was. Yeah.
anything else?
I didn't know.
Yeah, cool. All right, sounds good.
A couple items along with my report. We were out, started our brush chipping on Monday. Well, that was the only day we got brush chipped because the storms, I mean, we've had pretty extensive cleanup the last couple of days here. It was pretty heavy flooding in some areas. And guys, like you said, they've been busy cleaning areas out, fixing things that were piled down by the rains and the water. So get back to that, hopefully back into that again tomorrow, start back into chipping more. Another item I had here is, was talking with Reed on it too, and Reed had an idea too on that. They call these a clear span is like a arch style. I know everybody's seen them where we can store our salt in. Okay, we're looking to possibly build a clear span storage area beside the salt dome that we had. Kind of move it over. We'll kind of be out of the way. It's not gonna be out in the open where one neighbor complains when he sees the parks and stuff. The last few years, we've had extensive, salt that we've had to store through the summer, and this year we're gonna have another probably 1,200 ton that we have to store. So it's a thought to possibly look into one of these clear span buildings to do. I got some pricing. I'm still waiting for two more quotes. The one quote that I had was just under the bidding threshold for quotes, not the one where you go up into the actual bidding. So it was under the $23,200. The other one that I have was close to 40,000, but they are requiring that they do the erection of this, put the building up. Okay, so they want to put it up, and then they actually through theirs, they're through a state contract on their source well contract. So I mean, that's something we could actually probably, if we wanted them to come in there, we wouldn't have to bid that out because they're through source well. And I believe that we work the source well through that, but it's $13,000 for them to put this up. Now, the only thing on the other one, I'm looking, probably the other couple of bids are gonna be over that first one that I had. We're still still gonna have to put it together, so it's gonna take us some time to put it up. The thing's gonna be on, stacked up on blocks, which are gonna be 6 feet in the air, and it's gonna have a 17-foot archway, 50 by 60, so it's a pretty big thing, and then you cover it with has a tarp that covers it. It has a canvas style tarp that you tie it down, and it all goes in place on that, so it's gonna take us a little bit of time to build it, so something we might wanna look at, and possibly if we wanna go the route, have somebody else come in and build it, that would be probably like they said, through Sourcewell, through the state contract, it wouldn't have to be bidded out. And if we do have to bid it out, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to find anybody else to come out and build this. Because ClearSpan won't do it. First bid that I have. They'll do it, they just send you the stuff, and you put it together, so. I'm not
Just as
even sure.
background on the salt, we normally order from both through a PennDOT contract and also through the North Hills Council of Governments. But with these mild winters, there are minimums that you have to buy. And this past year, we actually only went with PennDOT and didn't go with the COG because we had an oversupply of salt. And even then, because the winter was so mild, we've got to store salt outside. And we're hesitant to start reducing our salt order even more. Because the last thing we need is to run out of salt, because if we reach a point where we're out of salt, so are other municipalities.
And we're gonna pay a premium price if we run
Right,
out.
if we could even get it.
And one thing about this too, this will be the third year since I've been in the public works superintendent for 5 years. This is the third year that, this will be the third year that we're only buying off of one supplier. Out of those 5 years that I've been in here, so, it's kind of a pattern that's going, I don't know how, we have no idea how long it's gonna last, you know what I mean, but. That, we take a chance, but, if you don't have that, if you don't buy and stockpile that salt in there, then we're taking a chance in the next year. Because on an average, I think the average winters, back when we were buying off of 2 different suppliers, we were buying anywhere in the area from 4,000 to 6,000 tons of salt. Right now, we're only buying probably, I think, 3,000 ton, 2 to 3, 2.5, 3,000 ton right now because of the mild winters that we had. So we saved a lot of money in these 3 years, like only going with one supplier and not have to buy, having stockpiles, to start the next year.
And his structure can be paid for out of liquid fuels funds, which we've actually had trouble spending the last couple of years because we're buying so little salt. We've included the cost of a truck in there. We've included salaries for our maintenance guys. Yeah, so we can actually pay for this out of liquid fuels.
Which route do you guys want to take?
Well, for us to build it, it's gonna be, it's not gonna be real easy. We actually built the one that we had on our topsoil pile, which is a smaller unit. We can do it, we get manpower and the guys can do it, we could save, $13,500 right here doing it. This could still take us a little bit of time, so if you wanna, if you start putting the cost for labor and stuff in it, we might still be saving maybe $5,000 on top of it, top end of it, by the time we get done with labor costs and chain costs.
You probably should say $5,000.
But doesn't that take a little bit from, if we do that labor on the borough,
Jobs are not good.
exactly, so would that take, that would take away.
Yeah, that's gonna take some time, we're gonna have to put guys, have guys in doing that, so,
They couldn't.
it just takes away from other things.
We got
You have to like
the
wait,
manpower issue.
Yeah. what's worth more.
So if you went with that one, what'd you say, approximately 40?
39, yeah, it was like 39,400. They had tax involved here, but we won't pay the tax on it, so it's 39,400 is what he quoted on that one.
It's a government contract, doesn't have to bid any of it.
It's coming through Sourcewell,
As long as.
course, it's not course or CoStars, it's a affiliated one. And there was a change that said you can, not just do equipment and materials and supplies, but also construction type things. So
Yeah.
even though you couldn't even really build out a design build contract, there is flexibility now in this group purchasing.
I think we recently did one not too long back, or last year or so, for through Sourcewell.
Yeah.
I'd have to check with Ron, but I think we did. Let's go forward.
So it's 40K versus 13.
40,000 versus, like I said, the low one I got right now is, $23,200.
And 17K in labor. what are we offsetting? Okay, fair enough, I mean,
And there's, like I said, the labor cost on here shows $13,500 for putting up is what it is.
And we can pay for this through liquid fuels.
Yes.
including labor, all of it, right?
Do you have any like DEP or stormwater type issues with a salt facility?
No, if they have one, no. As long as we have it covered, they,
Well,
Well,
stormwater issues.
but we're creating,
Pervious.
Perfect.
are we building it on asphalt? Are we building it on soil?
well, right now,
Because we're putting in a roof that is generating stormwater.
With salt.
So we may have to go through the process of getting the appropriate permits for that. I think we got some people that feel work done. About the end of the road here.
There you go.
yeah, it's a
not
partial,
something we can
partial.
just throw up.
amount. Yeah,
I
it's not-
remember, I mean, Bell Acres built one and I had some DEP number.
Let us do a little bit more research on this and come back. And we want to make sure that with liquid fuels that this will be covered, so we'll take a look at the permits.
How's White Oak, holding up? White Oak was holding up good, actually, when I went over during the heavy part storm there wasn't the detention pond, it was right there by Patty Smith's, and, it's on the Gulf Shore side. It wasn't full, the lower, detention pond down the other side had quite a bit of water coming through that was feeding through it, but it went up, it was never over top, it was up to the upper level, not to the upper top of the box part to where it goes into the final stage before it goes over the spillway, so it was still, the level I seen was still down and still working, everything was working good.
And on Montgomery Road, it did go over the banks of the, I'll call it the detention pond that's on property there and onto the road, but it didn't flood any houses. So our catch bases. The flooding was actually on the low end of Montgomery near McAleer where the stream, overflowed its banks and its wetlands and everything else. It's just all over the place.
And even that spot that we did up on Reese Run that we did last year, the pipe we put across Reese Run, that all looked good up in there. There was nothing backed up anywhere along that spot. Where we put basins and stuff across the next one, Reese Run there.
He was asking me how we're doing over at Colburn, and there was a lot of water shooting up the hillside.
On poles, yeah,
I mean, it was drivable, even when I came over, it was still streaming to the catch basin by my driveway from both ways. And actually, more was coming from the lower end where the Hasset fire was. There was more flowing that way than coming down.
yeah, there was a stream coming down into that swell part that we put by the house here where we had the rip wrap in there. It was coming in there and then it was nothing backed up on the road. It was coming under the whole road, fine, everything that I saw in there.
Wexler Pond stayed off the road too.
Back in there, as far as when I seen it, when I was over there, I went over, like I said, during the heavy part of the storm. So everything was looking pretty good.
I just saw it coming over, there's a picture of the point, the entire point was down top it, but it's completely.
Yeah.
It's completely there.
We raised up the equipment, so hopefully.
Stormwater management is important.
And another
Yeah.
item I have there too is, I'm not sure when council's gonna want to do a road tour. We're only put in for, I think, 2 miles of paving this year. If we pave Royal Oak, Squire Ridge, Star Bridge, the ones that we have the concrete curb done, that's almost 2 miles of road. It's 1.87 miles. On the roads that we have the concrete work done right now.
That's the priority too, right? Just
Yes.
concrete work, so it sounds like you don't really need a road tour because you've already got.
Well, the only thing, what we're gonna do is I talked with Reeves too about it, and told him to do it, and we have talked with, Sean Wingrove and that too, is, we're gonna probably look into it. Starting, especially because we're cut back this year, we're gonna try to, mill off 2 inches of road instead of taking 4 inches off. On some of these roads that have good under all the base, with no base repair. That way we could possibly double the amount of roads we're gonna pave this year, so we could still do a 2-inch mill and a mill and pave that with 2 inches of top on the roads that we have right now. And then possibly do up to 2 more miles of road if we do the same thing. So
We did
you
that on
can look
Inglewood
at some
Heights,
other,
right?
Yeah,
yeah, Angmar Heights has done that way. And,
there's some real bad spots in, like, King Charles it's rough. You know, it's always like an extra.
yeah, that's a bad section up there. And then even like the King Looms and stuff on the lower end. Sandhurst is not in very good
Not
shape.
very.
There's quite a few roads over that whole plan needs done over there really.
Well, I'll make a suggestion that instead of driving the whole thing, that you give us like the
I-
main targets.
Yeah.
My suggestion, I mean, right now would be, you know, if we did the 2-inch overlay on the ones that we had, that would knock us down to probably half, we get half the mileage.
Yeah.
Put another 2 miles on it, we could probably go to, I was thinking Sandhurst, probably a section of King John, maybe, or a section of King Charles. And do like King Edward and King William,
Smaller one.
get those all, you know, done, some of those in
And that would
there.
be within our budget for doing the road research.
Yeah, I'd have to, just double check to make sure that I'm right on all the numbers.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that?
We'll put it together and bring it back to you as a
Yeah.
recommendation, then if you want to do it, or we can do it, or.
It sounds
Yeah.
like maybe we're already there.
And the only other one that we had a lot of questions that I mentioned to Reed about, I told Reed too about is, Montgomery is getting a lot of complaints on Montgomery, but that's,
It's a mess.
but that's gonna be with the MS4,
Yeah,
reconstruction or the.
What I was, yeah,
Factory.
the MS4 work, you know, the work will be done off-road, but there will be some heavy equipment brought in. As far as the water line extension, we're still trying to figure out if we can find additional funding for that. If not, I don't know what's going to happen with that. So I'm not sure how much longer we can wait. I drove it down when it was raining. It's.
Yeah, the
really
bottom
short.
section is real bad. I mean, even if we did, just a scratch coat across it to get us by, but we could possibly do that. We've done that in different areas.
I think we need to
Get us
include
by,
that as
you know,
part of what you're
something
putting together
to
for
think
council to look at for the paving programs, doing something on it.
All right, sounds good. So we'll hear back from you on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything
And
else?
that's it.
Thank you.
What about
Yeah.
the unnamed request that reached them?
I was gonna, yeah, because we were talking, I seen that in the report I was gonna wait, I didn't know. if you wanted to
Yeah,
wait or
they're
not.
Right
from
now, or-
two managers report.
If you wanna do that, I mean, we could do that now. Too. I don't know if anybody's seen any of
Pictures, yeah.
the pictures. Did everybody see the pictures on what we did?
Yeah.
I actually went down there during this heavy rain and, where we had stopped, the water was going back out on the Diamond Lane and running down. It was actually starting to erode some areas of Diamond Lane coming down it because it was bypassing, coming around where we finished and wasn't getting into the swell where we put the limestone. Now, the section where the limestone was handling, it was taking all the water, a pretty good heavy amount of water right down and taking it right through the base or through the, end wall and underneath, the Mystic Valley Road down there. So, I mean, it was working fine. If we did that, I mean, I would still recommend doing that all the way up. All the way up
What did it
through
look
there.
like before?
Pardon me?
What was that?
It was just before in there, all there was probably a dirt style swell that was in there from the tree line or from the detention pond all the way down through there.
Yeah.
Through the years, it filled in.
Yeah, it's a swell that with grass and then trees have grown into the swell and then down at the end of the swell, there is no swell anymore. It's all filled in, so it's just level with grass. The water just flows right out on the diamond.
If we take that and pipe that through there, we're gonna probably have to put an 18-inch pipe in there. We're probably gonna need at least, I'd say, at least 3 basins, probably 4 basins just to pick up the groundwater. I'd say we're looking at probably anywhere from $12,000 to $14,000 just on material, not even counting labor to do it. Just to put the pipe in the basins and down through there. And that's still counting, hopefully we can catch all the groundwater that's coming off. If you have that limestone swell that's in there, we have it lined with the fabric, then we put the limestone on top of it. That water, any water that drops on the hillside is gonna follow that swell down through it, so. I mean, it's just, it's whatever choices you wanna make.
Is that gonna be sufficient to just fix the swell? In your
I think
opinion?
it would, I think it's gonna take.
And why are we wasting?
If we combine it with the stone.
I'd say you.
That's what the
continue to line
residential
stone
proposed,
over
they
there.
don't like the look of, I mean, we're in the right of way.
So we can do what we want.
There's a 20-foot right of way through there.
I mean,
We're
it's on their property, but it is in the right of way.
Right.
It is a swell that was put in by the developer to capture the water coming off the Mystic Valley houses.
It was part of the plan, it was part of the
And
stormwater
it-
plan,
It-
and it needs to be.
It's
restored.
eroded over the years, and we're
Yeah.
restoring it with, we're
And-
using some
and-
riprap, and that obviously doesn't look as good as.
What would happen
Grass.
if we did nothing? If we just erode it,
There's an
right?
extra pond.
It'll flood and erode.
Gravel will just continue washing into the stormwater pipe, and the people who live off of Diamond Lane will have to keep replacing that gravel, so you can use them in the front.
Yeah, cause even bigger flood.
Yeah, the gravel would wash downstream.
Yeah.
But the people that are complaining about the aesthetics of it are the same people that will be affected by the washed-out gravel.
Oh, I think that.
No, they're up higher.
All right, well, then I think we need to fix this well, then, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's. When we were doing Whiteout, before that gentleman died, he really wanted some kind of green covering. Remember
We
that?
did look that over.
Did we put it over?
Yeah, that was.
What did we do? Was it just a fabric?
That was, yeah, as a fabric you buy from, there was a company we deal with up in, up off of 79 up in, Crafton.
Okay.
They sell the different types of fabric and it's a woven fabric you put over it, it allows water to soak
So
through it.
wet.
Is that an
And
option?
it looks, yeah, it looks, it's,
One of
Looks-
the concerns I think with that is that the water won't dissipate into the stone as much. I mean, you're just creating a chute.
Right, I mean, Whiteout was a top, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, it's on a spillway.
that was
Once
just a
the water-
spill, that was just a spill that we did.
It's like the leaf fitter thing that goes on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's our right of way and it was part of the plan, I think we have to restore it and make it as pretty as you can, obviously.
I mean,
We can't just go, oh, let's go spend a bunch, right, we can't go, let's go spend a bunch of money on aesthetics when.
I mean, when you look at, when we're done with this here, but with the fabric and the stone that we're gonna put in there, we're gonna have about $2,000 worth of material in there to do that. So
Versus the 15.
we gotta put, yeah, if we do the pipe, there's, I think it's 580 feet of pipe we're gonna have to put down through those properties.
so it's gonna go all the way
That's gonna
down,
go all the way,
down and right?
yeah, all the way down along Diamond.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how,
All the way.
so far you've only gone like halfway or
Yeah, we got up, yeah, probably close to halfway.
about,
So,
I think this is a better alternative, and it's natural.
And again, there is a stormwater detention facility that I don't think we've ever
we've never,
serviced that.
and we're gonna have to get it.
We're gonna have to get in there,
And that is our access road to get
at
to
some
it.
point.
It's down off the dime.
Yeah, if you go back, you got back Diamond, it's on the right-hand side.
Diamond Lane specifically is there to.
And then there's actually a lake up above that.
there's
What do you
like,
think?
yeah, there's like big trees and stuff,
Yeah.
there's kids playing in it, like it's turned into.
Yeah.
It's
It was a lake before they
Yeah.
built the plant,
and ducks and
but
stuff.
they somehow used that partly for the stormwater things.
Sounds good, all looks good to me.
Yeah, Gary.
I mean, it's solving the issue and, we're not like putting a bunch of like pipes and artificial.
No.
You know, barriers there.
And we're stretching our budget for stormwater, and that's a good.
Well, the bigger problem is gonna be that pond all the way in the back, so
Is there wetlands?
it's a.
Well, if it's a stormwater detention facility, the DEP will let us clean them up.
Okay.
It's the only time you can actually get rid of that.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. All right.
We'll definitely have to service it, so.
Thanks, Gary.
Nothing for the planning commission this month. Yes. We have 3 applications for the zoning hearing board, though. One for a side porch, side yard encroachment on Duncan, one for a shed location on Wary, and one for a potential buyer of Cardinal Ridge that wants to make the buildings instead of 2-story, 3-story, and also wants more than 50% coverage for the garage, for each garage door in the front of each one of those units.
Didn't we fight about that before?
Yeah, but not in this point, that was Willow Ridge.
That was Willard?
So that's why it's in the packet. I was wondering why Cardinal Ridge is back.
Back.
Back again.
I told them, I said, we've seen this before.
Yeah, they're not.
We've seen this
The
before.
zoning board isn't gonna do it.
I don't, there is nothing that I can tell you that you can use to say we have a physical hardship of the land.
There's
That
not.
is just not there. And, a 4-story building, because these basements are literally on top of the ground.
Yeah.
So they'll be with it. You want a 4-story
Yeah.
building.
the development at the end of Wexford Run, they're all 4-story.
Well, that's not in our town.
I know, it's Marshall, I realize, but my wife.
Yeah, that's what
came-
they wanna do.
Yeah, my wife came home yesterday and she said, you won't believe it, I saw an elevator company there.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess somebody's installing an elevator within their unit. But they look like, from what I can see from the street, and I think one person has just moved into the, I believe, the 3rd floor, which should really be the 4th floor above grade. People, it's a livable space. It would be a long way to go up to
Well,
the.
that's what they want.
It had the word roof deck on it.
Did it really?
They want roof deck, so you go up to the top of the roof.
Look over the
To see what?
The interstate.
The interstate.
I say no more.
Tim, I just want to ask, like, what's their reasoning to increase space or? The pictures do look better, so
Yeah, I
I'm
mean-
playing devil's advocate here, but if you've seen the aesthetics between the two, this does look more luxurious, but I'm just curious.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's, right now, the developer designed these townhouses that were approved for rental units. And, you know, when you're doing multifamily rental things, the window of opportunity there, as far as their due diligence or whatever, just is about 8 months. So nothing can ever get off, you know, and these are national guys. So, you know, it's not gonna be profitable to build there without doing something. You know, it is, you know, without doing something like this, because they want to sell the lots individually. So, you know, I'm hearing that, well, the whole neighborhood loves it because they don't want Section 8 housing back there. They don't want rental units back there. And I'm thinking, Section 8
They're not
housing.
on that.
This is Franklin Park, that doesn't happen. But, yeah, he's just,
They cut the number down too from 23 or not so.
Still the same number.
It just went up this way.
yeah. And,
I read it right, they're putting 12-foot garage doors, which really isn't wide enough for 2 cars. I think it was dimensioned at 12, I mean, normally.
Yeah, it's, I think part of it was percentage of the front.
50% of the, more than
yeah,
50% of the.
and 50% of the front wall of the house.
And they want to go much further than that.
Well, you know, right now, the 8-foot garage doors are about 50%.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So,
and this is, what's his name?
Great.
Expired.
Where does it stand now? Are they gonna come to planning commission or
Well, we're seeing them on the 11th, so.
the zoning hearing?
Zoning hearing. And we, I mean, we can take a position. We can tell Tim,
Does look nicer, but that's whatever. It's about-
I say just ask the ZHB to apply
Yeah.
the ordinance and be done with it.
I agree.
would you
I
want
don't think we
someone
wanna
to be
get
there? I mean, I talked to Gary, he called, I was like, have you seen this one? So I gave him the background of the property and everything else, but said, I don't know what everybody's
I
position
think this
is.
is gonna go down on its own.
Yeah, you're thinking.
Yeah, they don't have
Need
this
help
project.
with it.
That, they don't, and they're just gonna apply the ordinance without a hardship, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's the.
Will that be in a notion? That's
Interesting.
At this point in time, that's about all I have.
Do you have some?
I thought I did, but I don't see it, so.
Cool, thanks. Zach?
You have my report. Fields are technically open. If it ever stop raining, we will actually be doing things out there. And then the only other thing was we heard back from the inspection of telephone poles for the lighting project that IFPLL is trying to do through their grants. So right now that is with the electrician of IFPLL and the timber company who inspected the poles. They're in talks right now, just for support there and things like that, versus putting a new pole in. So once they have a plan, they will bring it back to us and then we can decide what happens from there. But that's all I have right now.
Little League did take Glenbrook, it looks like. They're gonna use it.
They did not get back to me.
Well, I know they're scrambling the field, so we'll see.
Well, it did not seem that way when they reached out to me last time. But yeah, I have, people who are ready to go into those fields if they do not want them.
Fair enough.
All right, sounds good.
Well, you have my report. Obviously, next weekend is opening day for baseball, so we don't have a whole lot of time to get these fields.
We have a game on Monday.
You know,
I don't know how that's gonna do.
we have, first of all, obviously, we can't get nowhere near them at the moment. You know, field 4, which we had somewhat level, is no longer level. So we'll put soil back in that again, so we constantly do throughout the year. The only other thing I wanted to mention, late last summer, I mentioned I'd done a thing about autonomous mowers. A lot of places are, so talking with the representative, they have a demo right now at Mount Lebanon at their pool with their with the unit and then over their golf course. And as soon as they're done with that, he's looking to bring those units here, have them for a week. And probably one at the football field, and they want, there's a bigger unit and a smaller unit. That we'll set them up, and then I'll let everybody know, and they can come take a look at them and watch them do their thing. Being a municipality, there is savings, there's a 20% savings over what others pay to use them. There is a leasing option compared to a buying option. You know, leasing seems the way to go, especially since they're somewhat newer, so it's like a 3 or 4 year lease, but that technology changes so fast that you do right into the next ones.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at possibilities like the football field, the meadow type thing, and even some of the rocks and stuff with the golf course down the road.
With battery power.
They are,
That's probably
Battery.
the battery too.
yeah, you know, they work in rain, they work, they work off a cell phone. You tell it what to do, I can tell it from home, go mow overnight, and it'll just do its thing and go, it knows when to go back to the dock to recharge and go back out and keep going. You know, the smaller unit can mow about 2 acres in a charge, the bigger can go about 4 acres, so. If the meadow is about 5 acres, they would mow, go back, charge and mow again. So. Something to look into in the future, and that seems to be the biggest way to go right now. So.
We're moving ahead with having that parking lot down there too.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a process, it's a pretty big, valley there, but working with Gary and his guys and down the road and getting the pipe and drainage in there,
Finding up fill.
finding fill, yeah.
That's what things we have. So,
So eventually,
Yeah,
no.
for sure.
Good, thanks.
We submitted a report, there's a couple of things to it, for the curb and gutter program, we issued final payment for that, so that should close that one out. And then for Acorn Park, we did receive some comments back from the Conservation District, we should have those addressed this week. Round two. That's all I have for update.
That's good.
Great, so,
Introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. My name is Brad Simmons. I'm a project manager from CEC. I have about 16 years of engineering service, majority of which is with land development and permitting. I'm also a resident of Franklin Park. I have a wife and a 3.5-year-old little boy, so that's it.
Justin is actually bringing Brad up to speed, so that Brad can attend more meetings. and
Correct, yeah.
Be our contact person.
So I think there's 2 notable things for this evening. For the Matterhorn Basin retrofit, the borough received, I think, 7 bids that were open on the 19th. And at this time, we recommend awarding to Demex LLC for a total of $299,789.78.
That's about 50,000 less than, they were the only bid, when we did it out last fall.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it was 350,000. So
That's a big swing there.
Yeah,
and they were significantly lower than majority of the bids.
Yeah.
And they've done some projects with CEC in the past, so.
And then I'm not sure if now's the time, but the other notable item that wouldn't be in the letter that we supplied would be the Penvest meeting we had. So we had a meeting with Penvest yesterday. Overall, I think it went well. I think between the 3 projects, they all have a very good chance of getting the funding needed. One item that we did come across was, after the meeting, we were thinking that we would be able to do the Ramblewood project in the next, submittal cycle, which would be May 5th. However, we learned that there will be a modification required for the MPDS permit, which with that short time frame, we wouldn't be able to get. So at this time, I think that we're projecting a tentative submittal for August for all three projects.
We're looking at, they also informed us that, we can get reimbursed for engineering we've paid for so far for the design work on these projects. So we're probably looking at a total for all three projects of about $2.5 million. And, if we get a 20-year loan, what we'd be looking at, would be paying $150,000 a year. Approximately. And that's principal and interest for 20 years.
That sure helps with the budget, right?
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
The first 5 years, it's 1.7%, approximately, a little over that. And then for the other 15 years, it's a little over 2.1%. So that's, you know,
Great. That's really good.
Yeah, and they said, as long as you haven't taken on debt, right, which you, for the project, we're good in terms of like getting reimbursed.
yes.
Or something along those lines, right? Is that-
Yeah, essentially, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
essentially, as long as you don't award any contracts or spend any money towards the project itself until after the decision has been made with Penvest, then you should be 100% reimbursed. But if you were to start the process a little too early, then they wouldn't be able to reimburse you for portions of it.
But they'll reimburse the engineering because they require that when you apply,
We've done stuff.
you already have permits in place and you're ready to go. You want a shovel-ready project.
Do we have to, do we delay the start of the projects because of this?
No, because we still have to finish getting our easements. With Ramblewood, we're closer. That's when we're actually paying the property owner for the easement. We do have the drawings that we're reviewing now, and then once we've done our review, we'll get them out to the property owner for their review. And, once they're satisfied, we will then resubmit, for the modification to the permit that we've received so far. For the stream bank restorations for Bear Run, we have one of the three easements in place. The golf course, they sent a list of questions that we're getting answers to. And with the other private property owner, I did receive an email from them last week that they spoke to an engineer and they have a list of questions they want us to address. And then they'll talk to us about it, but they're willing to have us do the work. They just want to make sure we're comfortable with it. For Fish Run, we agreed to the changes that the property owner suggested. So we're just waiting for them to print a clean copy and come in and get it signed. And we hope they do that so that we can actually approve it at the April business meeting. Then we can go ahead and apply for that. But it's going to take some time to get those permits, so we're not slowing anything down.
Yeah, no, when I say like, deferring the work, the actual like construction or. Once we start that, we can't get reimbursed for that.
Right, yeah, but we can't start the construction until we get the permits from. So it'll be a little bit later probably than we would have been able to start construction potentially, but not by much.
Okay, I mean, as long as we're good with funding.
Yeah.
For Penvest, that's like the main thing.
With DEP, we're already gonna be missing the deadline anyways. We're asking for forgiveness. I would think that if we have these projects done by next spring, they won't find us.
That'd be amazing and probably ahead of a lot of municipalities on this. So.
But we might have to get individual permits, is that what we're looking at?
For the stream restorations, we're looking at joint permits.
So,
Yeah, because of the disturbance and working with the wetlands. However, with Ramblewood, we do have an MPDS permit in place, but from my understanding, the document submitted, the design has changed slightly. I still haven't determined if it's going to be a major or minor modification, but in some way it will be a modification.
Awesome stuff. Thank you. Welcome back, Chief.
Thank you. I would like to thank the mayor and council, for the support and opportunity to attend the FBI National Academy. It was excellent training. Lieutenant Snyder is not here, but I want to note that I'm very grateful that he was able to take care of everything and give me the opportunity to embrace where I was and what was going on. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that is in our report.
Awesome. All right, so staff lead Rob for
Of what I see, all of staff can leave unless there's some reason you want to stay.
No, I really did, but you know, my wife's waiting for me. She got dinner ready and.
You dropped it off.
I feel better sit down.
we don't need Tim for this. like-
No.
Cool.
Need Andy. You're here anyway.
That's fine. Sounds great. Okay. All right, so good. So let's see, major board items, fire company.
First, this is just to let you know that these are budgeted items, but there are two, fire company command vehicles that have been ordered. Total cost of the two is 108,204, and we'll be cutting a check to the fire company later this month. They expect to have delivery to the dealers
Yeah. to the
late
dealership.
this month, and then they've got to do their thing, but, we'll cut the check later this month, so that we have the money in the fire company's hands. for the purchase.
This is a brand new one? Brand new,
Two brand new.
two brand new.
you know,
Just like SUVs, right?
No, they're trucks like they have everything. It allows them to utilize the truck for, when you do a big call and there's a cleanup, you throw a bunch of stuff in the back of the truck. None of the engines can haul that stuff.
But that was made, so we're good there.
We covered that, so digital sign, we did get, quotes from two companies, we budgeted $20,000 for upgrading the digital sign. VIS Signs is our current provider, and 19 millimeters is our current, pixel size. And what we're recommending is that we stay with the 19 millimeters. The technology is different now, so instead of only 2 lines of text, we get 4 lines of text. And we could also get color, and we could use the software we use right now to design our newsletter, and actually use that to do designs that we can then put on our website. You can put pictures on it, all kinds of good things you can do. You get a rolling background while the message comes up. So it'll be a much nicer, much cleaner sign with the same dimensions as it has right now. And it'll be under our budget of $20,000.
Was it good, Brendan?
And then, yeah, we want to talk about the fee rate. So,
Yeah, once we have a new sign in place, we want to look at updating our fee schedule, because right now our fees are incredibly low, like $5 a week. Something like that.
Now you tell me.
Yeah.
I was wanting to put, well, it's more than that. $5.
Yeah, we want to definitely take a look and see what others are charging and make a change to our fee structure.
I better hurry up, get my contract in.
I mean, the installation of the sign was before my time. I mean, Kathy's online, Tim was here, for the development of, the villages up there. It was part of it. I don't remember if it was a developer sort of sign like the Welcome to Franklin Park in the sheets and things of that nature, but I do remember, discussions, particularly with Ambrose, or, that limitation on, not allowing it for sort of nonprofit or other community groups, just because of the concern of some, undesirable, and you always get like the KKK, reference of the, a group coming in and saying, I want to advertise my Klan rally on here. Essentially, to prevent that, they just said only these for-profit, charge them whatever.
Well, I think
little bit
I think that's a serious concern that you can get nonprofits. A nonprofit covers a large area. And I, as a lawyer, I think I'm fine with for-profit and government and stuff. But nonprofit, I think we should continue to stay away from it. If we're allowed to do that,
It's,
max.
I mean,
Mm.
the Supreme Court, has changed over, this was 30 years ago, and I think the
Sure.
sign went up or so, and we just kind of have kept it
Yeah.
with our heads down, rather than
We're
rock
not
the boat
looking,
or otherwise
we're-
upset it.
we're not looking at the speech itself, we're just looking at the requirements of whoever, you know. is- I think we should leave it with enough staff.
Yeah, I think it's exposure.
Yeah,
I will say there was more difficulties of opening it up to others and not having restrictions. I mean, this is the same issue Port Authority got into in terms of advertising inside the buses. They've had limitations and challenges on who can advertise and who
Yeah, I've
can't.
seen it.
We just kind of keep the same. Yes, might disappoint some former members of the residents of the borough advertising some out of borough events. That's just part of the way it is.
Still gonna raise the rates.
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
The
But-
person initially reached out to the mayor and I asked if we would promote their
Yeah.
event, and we explained that we get,
Yeah, that's the. problem.
we
No.
get contacted by a lot of nonprofits asking if we could promote their event, we just can't do it.
I just think we should leave it exactly the way it is, because it's even keel.
What if they said that they were a for-profit? How would we know?
You can look it up.
Yeah,
And they're registered.
they're
with the
registered.
Department of State.
he's right, they're right.
So I called Cranberry.
Mhm.
They have a sign, like 19 to 20. I was just curious, like, what do they charge? Because we're talking about fees and, I mean, the way I see the fee is pay off the sign. So $5 a week is pretty low, in general. It's true, but I mean,
It's crazy.
lots of people know about Sir Pizza because the Sir Pizza and the sign, it's on the sign. So, but the Cranberry person said that they do not charge, I mean, from what I understood, it's for nonprofits only.
Yeah.
So they're the opposite. Wow. What we have.
I don't think we should go that.
I think I,
Just-
and they probably have a disclaimer.
Yeah, who they have to be a. It's scary.
This has been going great the way it has been. It's not good to rock the boat on.
Okay.
on stuff. Unless people feel strongly, I'm.
Okay, so you know, have a purchase?
Of the cheaper one.
Yeah.
Okay, need a motion for that?
I mean, if we have, it's under the one, I mean, it's a quote.
It's under $20,000.
Yeah, but still, I would
We got 2 quotes.
put it on just,
All right, my motion for it.
talk quickly with Tim, make sure he's okay, and it's not a sign ordinance violation. Andy, is it a sign ordinance violation? If it's- I don't think you're allowed to have moving images on a. electronic sign.
can't have flashing and
Yeah.
moving images and that type of stuff.
So you may have to,
Just,
So we just won't use those
those
features.
features,
it's how you use it, not so much. the sign.
Right.
yeah, and it's how quickly it changes, and wipes and moves and.
Okay, we'll make sure.
Not too fancy, not too.
That one down to 279, but you're going south, it's by Nakalira, or by.
Yeah.
That thing, I used to go to work at Children's Hospital for like 3 years. I was going down there at 6 o'clock in the morning. Man, that thing was flash.
Yeah.
It's very busy. It's doing a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Man, that's your,
Yeah.
even if you knew it was there,
Yeah,
it could be something dark red and all of a sudden white comes up.
yeah.
So I agree with that.
One other quick item, if I could.
Yeah.
Just reminder, ALOM is this weekend.
There.
I believe Yuta, you're going up Thursday evening, is that correct?
Yeah, I should be at that cybersecurity thing. They have a, whatever that thing is, AI or cybersecurity, whatever the session is over there.
Yeah, it's, I think it's first thing Friday morning.
Yeah.
And Brian, Laura, and Tom and I are all going up. Mayor had to cancel. Registration does start 8 o'clock Friday morning.
I shouldn't be going. I'm not going.
Oh, you're not going?
No, no.
Okay.
I was a no. when-
You were a no,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
Laura is a yes, Friday morning?
Yep.
Coming back Saturday evening? Is that-
Yes.
Okay, and Tom, you're the same?
Same
Okay,
thing.
so there's 3 of us doing that. All right, and we're all signed up for the Alcoasand luncheon on Friday.
I would be there, but got a court case Friday afternoon, but look out for Harley will be there, as well as Anna Jewert, and then Michael Corns in our office is on the panel on Saturday. Solicitors. Oh, I have my.
All right, sounds good. All right, of course, from council and mayor.
Yeah, I just have this, I have the, correction of the minutes on our PDF page 2 on the work, in our work packet. it's showing that the solicitor was both Harlan and Max at the same time.
Oh,
So
cool.
that one needs to be changed out. So,
Okay, how do we do that?
huh?
Okay, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
adjust it before, we don't have to do it.
She's watching us, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
good.
sounds
And
good.
then secondly, I showed
I gotta
Luke
think
this, but, you know how we monitor the Facebook pages for, information about what's going on in Franklin Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one.
Monitor.
Yeah. One, this isn't bad news, it's just news.
Yeah.
So apparently according to the information on the Facebook page, Franklin Park, Verizon has been putting little, gray cylinders on telephone poles on Grant School Road. And and Verizon said that those are cell phone boosters. And so that information was readily available on Facebook.
I'm gonna talk about that. I had
Yeah.
a call from a resident on my home, which I learned like Friday.
Mhm. Okay, good. So I won't, that's all I know about it. And that's it for me.
Okay. Laura, yeah.
No, well, yes, I still have not, I need to get back to Christy from Dormont, who I think she emailed you also, Reach, about, social media and kind of giving us an overview and some pointers. I dropped the ball on that. I haven't got back to her, but I will. That's all.
All right.
So yeah, last week on Wednesday, I did a ride along with the ambulance authority, and it was a really great experience. I learned a lot and got to meet a lot of different people, so that was great. The Jared Box Drive is still going on to the end of the month, and then I'm meeting with Chief Leach next week. We're going to talk about a social media page. Do you want to add anything on that?
One of the classes I had down in Quantico dealt with having a more presence for it because we don't currently have one on social media. I think there's a generation that gets all their news from social media. So I figured partnering with Julia and possibly either we're going to talk about NA students or a class project to help us move that forward and kind of and see what we can do. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Good. Absolutely.
Yeah, I forwarded the email, a few email to you guys regarding the noise study and the sound barrier. So it looks like the residents are not happy with some sort of like and the cost issue, and so I want to ask and for concern, what will be the next that we can do, to address some of their concern. I know that so right now, it looks like if we don't do anything and the residents are kind of like, I won't be so happy and with the situation, and so they will probably follow up with more, emails or something like that. And I also believe that some information in those emails are not correct. So, for example, and whether we can add the cost to the what's that, and the construction and the plan and on that the exit and
Yeah,
There's a lot of
the
misinformation.
$87 million project, yeah.
I don't think that that the cost of the some sort of sound barrier can be added to that one. So there should be some, and at least, and we may need to, at this moment, I'm not so sure and whether we should reach out to the state department again and to check what is going on, whether there is any funding and for this kind of issue, or is there anything that we can do at this moment?
Yeah, I was thinking like, one, we can meet with them. Like, yeah, you and I can like meet with them, it is Ward 1, right, so.
The folks in the community, you should probably sit down. and-
Yeah, which is not,
They need to have some information.
that's fine,
Yeah.
especially like to clarify things, so part of clarifying it is, that the $87 million project is out of our hands. That's an independent project.
It's not our project, we didn't get the money
And it-
for it,
and
and
it's
we're
needed.
not building it.
Yeah, and it's needed. So, I mean, the amount of growth that's happened in the area, like, we can't survive without like a redo of that or change. So that would happen independent of whatever we do, whether we do sound barriers, trees or whatnot. But I think like laying out like the costs and the steps in general might help. Cause I did read those emails and it said they can just add it, they're doing this, they can just add costs. It's generally not how it's gonna work.
Right, their position is if there was a problem, but they don't hadn't dealt with it right after they built something.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Doug.
No, I think that and one of the concern they brought up, are we just like, looks like they plan us like, not and reach out to the state department or state and for some sort of information regarding like, and the construction of the sound barrier or something, you know. Is there anything that the information that we can get directly from the state regarding like, this kind of like,
I haven't seen anything. I was trying to look, because I know that along the turnpike, I've started seeing this in Somerset. There's some widening happening. I think it's before, if you're coming west, coming from Harrisburg, before you actually hit the tunnel, it's either before or right after. There's a large, it's either a modernization of that 7 or 8 miles, and they are putting up walls. It's actually not a very dense area either, so I'm just wondering what's happening there. So I kind of want to see if like, is it a county thing? What is the policy that's driving that? I was actually hoping that our county could drive some of this because this would affect Northern Sprinkle Park since 279 runs through Allegheny County, right? But I haven't seen anything yet, but I think like sitting down and like meeting with them is fine. Like, I'm happy to talk it out.
We can meet with Suzanne for the audience, our Allegheny County Council stations.
Yeah, I mean, how could this affect the rest of,
I'm sure it does,
she's District 5 or whatever her number is,
yeah, I think that and at least and we need to show them actually. Because right now I think that if we sit with them and they will just like repeat what was written in that email, and so it doesn't look like we really have a clear message, what can be done. So I would suggest that we'll either talk to the county or calling and ask them. I'm not so sure that the Department of Transportation or state and for some information and before we can sit with our residents to discuss.
yeah, I can reach out to our federal representatives and I'll email Suzanne as well. I'm sure she'll be there through the county council panelists at day one, so they'll ask. I'm just kind of see like how they dealt as county on county council's radar, without development going on in Allegheny County. I imagine like this is not an only issue here. But either way, I mean, we can meet with them regardless. It doesn't hurt. Just yeah, one thing I was thinking about in terms of solving, so Brian, I sent that email to Stephanie asking about trees. Like, what is the kind? Part of the driver for that is constructing a concrete wall may not have the effects that like you might perceive it might have in terms of like, sound mitigation. So what is another alternative? Well, trees. So if you have tree lines, like lots of tree lines or whatnot. And I've noticed this in other areas. So whenever I go back to North Carolina, there's like in the south, there's a lot of infrastructure happening. The roundabouts or the turning, the mushroom, clover turning. A lot of what I'm seeing is there are lots of trees there. Just they've been left. And part of it's mitigating sound and just mitigating visibility, like not seeing traffic or whatnot. And I know PennDOT might own it technically might be on their property right next to the highway, but getting some sort of waiver for trees might be easier than saying, hey, we want to get some money to rent the concrete barrier on your property. So that might be like an approach, I'm thinking. And there's also some other benefits with having trees and concrete barrier, like stormwater erosion and other things.
So,
If the trees were help before, they'd be a help again. The question is how tall they're gonna be and how long it's gonna take.
That's a long-term, it's a long-term thing, right?
Yeah.
But you have to start somewhere, and there's a lot of grants for trees, which is the other, so we have to like specifically go like some, Department of Transportation grant, could be, environmental grants or whatnot, there's a whole list, and I'm sure there are other third-party groups that are willing to donate for that purpose.
Do that, and then who's gonna maintain the trees? Do you have a joint maintenance agreement? Do you have permission from PennDOT to go on their right of way to take care of the trees so they don't have to?
I mean, this is one of those where some sort of like waiver or whatnot, hopefully these are trees that you have to maintain, like,
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
There's gotta be some sort of roadmap for this sort of, there's trees along lots of
There are.
interstates.
Yeah, maybe not in this area, but
Well,
region.
right, but I mean, there,
You're right. When I-
there has to be a model.
when I go
to
to-
use for this.
especially
You
in the
don't have
south,
to-
It's like
It
a
comes
new growing up and too.
It's crazy, like there's trees and like the mushroom, the clover thing, I'm like, this is, seems like an obvious.
I like the approach because it's going back to the environmental side of things instead of putting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of benefits there, and then on top of that, when they do actually put in the interchange, according to the plans, they're gonna remove that exit. So all the concrete and asphalt should be gone at that point. I have no idea what they're doing, because they planned all this without, I don't think we were very involved in the planning of this, but they, I would imagine that's a good place to go. Replant a forest or something.
Yeah, and I mean, the concrete wall would have to be so high to really be effective.
Oh,
A lot
yeah.
of because the trees may be a better option.
Yeah, because the grant that we'd have to like apply for, even the sound study grant, there's a requirement for the municipality to put in like 30% or something like that. And if we were to get an award and say we're not gonna pay it, then we may not be getting future grants. But yeah,
That sounds good.
we should be
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah,
I'm happy to.
definitely. I also like the tree idea and so that kind of like help a lot. I mean, not only like the some academic, some better also like the environment and also like the license like the.
Yeah, there's
So-
a lot of, and if residents are interested in having trees in their, there's a lot of residents that back up to the highway directly, and you can see there, you can see it directly through right now. I'm sure they'd be interested in these
Yeah.
grants.
I know Tree Pittsburgh usually does that.
Yeah, they're promoting,
They're on there.
yeah, in the last week, they've been promoting tree giveaways, tree fairs, tree everything. They are very much promoting, if anybody wants to plant a tree, and you're willing to take care of it, they're happy to show a tree.
That's cool.
How many trees are
True.
I'm sure.
True, but trees,
That's not
trees
something.
grow, you gotta start somewhere, and, yeah, it's a start.
And if that case, and I'll reach out to them and to see whether
Yeah.
they would like to sit with us
Yep, absolutely.
and we'll find some time
Yeah.
to talk with them.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm fine.
Tom?
Yeah, the conversation I had about the cell phone coverage was from, actually a retired surgeon that my wife used to work for. He lives in Ramblewood. He has two daughters and they both live in the borough. I know one lives on Timberland. I'm not sure where the second one lives. So he has, him and his wife, and the daughters, both have children, I believe. Anyway, one of the two children, I think it's the one that lives down in Timberland, has has a health issue where he has to be totally monitored on Wi-Fi. And he said, so he has to be connected, so whenever he's watching a child, if there's an alarm, he gets it. And he said he has no coverage in his home. He's right about in the middle, he's on Acorn, which is a little cul-de-sac in the middle of Ramblewood. And I think I talked to him Thursday, might have even been Friday. And I said, we're looking at doing something to improve that. I said, I believe what you're seeing on those poles is the 5G service. It's really, the borough is not at all involved in that. It's part of, I believe, it's something to self-driving vehicles. I've heard all kinds of rumors about what it might be for. I actually don't know what it's for, but you see it on all the poles on Grant School and other roads. throughout the borough that are major roads. So he said, well, I'd really like to see something done about this. I told him we were working through, we're trying to bring in somebody to figure out the best way to improve that. He said, well, I can come and talk, or I don't know if he's the one that posted this or not. I didn't see the post online, but I wouldn't be surprised, so. Anyway, I couldn't tell him anything because we haven't awarded that agreement yet, so there's really not a lot I could share with him. But I told him the council was working on it, and we hope they have some decisions shortly as to what's gonna happen, how we're gonna approach it.
Yeah.
But he said it's really dangerous with this child. I guess he's an 8-year-old, and must regulate blood sugar to a point where if that thing goes off and somebody doesn't respond, it could be fatal for the child. I said, well, I'll bring it up and I'll share that with council.
Yeah, definitely a lot more devices that are, contingent on, data, service, cellular service. Yeah, with regards to the poles and the thing on the top. Yeah, you'll see them if you drive down like 19, you'll see it, and even in Cranberry as well. It's pretty common for the 5G. They can wire them easily. This is what I'm reading. So that's what they're doing that, expand the 5G coverage, which is good. It's slowly expanding them, independent of what we're doing. For our test spots.
Can residents that live close to that pick that signal up?
I mean, ideally, they should be able to benefit off of that if they're the part of that provider.
Yeah.
So I don't know if does he have,
Well, he's really close to it. He lives right,
does he have Verizon or is he,
I didn't ask him which service,
Yeah.
but I mean, he lives,
if that's who's putting it in, yeah.
probably has line of sight to the one that's before you turn on the extra run, there's one on the pole right there. And I would think if you turn and look up on the hill, he's just about right there.
Yeah, I mean, if he has Verizon, I imagine he would be benefiting from that. But if he does not, and that's who is putting that up, probably not.
I'll share the name with everybody, and if he wants to, I told him we'd try to get him a response once we knew something. First council has to review this, obviously awarded, so. Couldn't tell him.
Yeah.
I told him we've been working on it, and we share his concern, especially with our EMS services, our fire, our police. So it's great meeting for all of those services, in addition to the cellular, so. I didn't have to care about that, but I told him, we're very aware that there's.
Yeah, happy to meet with him anytime.
Sure.
Okay, didn't Tim issue permits for adding these? I mean, this was like a year or two ago, under the Act 20.
The 5G module.
Yeah, or DOS systems, or, because there was a change in the law, and it, said that they had access to the rights of way, but they could pay, a nominal fee, not like the crazy ones that were being thrown around. And putting them through a zoning process that didn't make any sense, but I do remember Tim saying that he had a couple of applications from Verizon under that. So he might know exactly what they're tied to and what they do.
Sure.
Keep them.
That was it.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was great.
I don't think so. I think we've got it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, that concludes it. So on to executive session.
Can we take a break now?